But let's keep this thing going. I know Nick had a question right now. We're kind of in the discussion of the CD Deuce stuff that happened today. And it's not, I think it's very clear on our show. We don't think anything's coming out of it. Like
I think we're defending. Defend the Deuce.
Defend the Deuce.
Defend the Deuce.
Easy. I know you're in the chat. The Defend the Glenn guy. Defend the Deuce. The speculation stuff, all of that. The speculation, literally the only thing the two things that have come out of this is that AG said, hey, we're going to have some sort of rotation, most likely with those guys, in Minnesota or versus Minnesota in Detroit. Yeah. That's not the playoffs. That's none of that. We're going to have a rotation because he's coming off an injury. And two, what CD Deuce said, the comments he made. And if you're going to take those comments and turn them into something bad, that's on you because it's not bad. That's a competitive comment.
And speaking of the Deuce here, boys, my question to you guys, because we are so skilled in that back end of the secondary now, could you guys see Brian Branch or CD Deuce possibly getting that number 2 corner, get some reps there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'd be number 2 corner on the depth chart, but I think in whatever schematics Aaron Glenn rolls out, whether they play more nickel, whatever they do, I could see them playing where that CB2 would be. In fact, I'd say they'd probably play CD Deuce over my guy. I love him, Khalil Dorsey, maybe Kendall Vildor. I don't know for sure, but he's that talented, and they want playmakers on the field.
I think AG said that too, that he was like, we say it all the time, is we want the best players on the field at all times. And that's the thing. And that was when the rotation comment came, was after that. It's like, hey, we want the best players on the field at all time. If there are guys who are off the field that we feel are the best, we're going to try and find a way to get them in. That's the rotation part.
And that's iffy.
But the thing is,
you're trying to get iffy on the field. This
whole situation, the funniest part about this whole situation is if you rank these safeties when they're all back and in 2 weeks when we're in the playoffs and they're all healthy, if you rank them, guess who's number 1? CJ Gardner-Johnson, CD Deuce. He's number 1. So when you're talking about rotating guys, you're not rotating the front of your lineup. You're going to rotate the guys later. And that's not a shot at the other guys. That's just he's that good.
And wouldn't you...
he's just that good of a safety and a player, and then a proven player.
In a game against Minnesota, week 18, wouldn't you have a rotation, a guy coming back from injury in this game? You got other guys playing. This is a
perfect chance to get a guy's feet under him.
Perfect opportunity to figure this all out. And the questions about, or the concerns about him saying this stuff and being a good teammate are whack. Remember just a few short weeks ago when Ryan Fitzpatrick took a shot at Jared Goff, calling him a game manager? Who was the very first person, maybe the only person to have Goff's back? CD Deuce. CD Deuce. You go back to Philadelphia. All his teammates loved him. The media hated him, and the fans hated him, or he hated the fans and the media. It was not a good relationship. He didn't want to sign back in there, and they lowballed him in a that's the only reason he wasn't back.
Do you remember when he got here? The comments of the whole Philly, that's not.
Yeah, they chose to play Slay. CD Deuce wanted to test the free agent market and see what it's worth, and they decided to sign Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, and by the time they wanted to go back to, they didn't have any money. CD Deuce, you know where he wanted to go for a discount? Because he's worth way more than the contract he's on. He wanted to go play with Aaron Glenn.
I'm still all in. Bring that man back. Get him.
I'd sign him long term right now.
You have to.
I love going back to the reel that I had that went off. I was like the first one in Detroit, I think, after the ski mask thing. I was the first one to put something out, and I think it had like 500,000 views, and it was literally, I will take my wallet. I'll drive to Allen Park right now. He can have everything of mine, as long as that man's back in Detroit next year.
And speaking of that bag,
that too, man.
Speaking of that bag, Boone, my bad there. He's going for that bag in this last game, going into the playoffs. He's going to cause a lot of turnovers. He's going to wreak havoc against opposing offenses.
Which is crazy.
He's chasing that contract 100%. As well. He's going to ball the F out.
And it's crazy that this is a conversation. Someone on Flick Story Entertainment and the thing, I think he's responding to Easy. He said, no, you and Spenmo, which I don't think Spenmo was in this, because I think he was on our side of this. Yeah. But he said both asked about his talent, which hasn't been in question, but the spot has to be earned with him coming back from injury, period. His talent isn't the thing. It's not talent. It's not any issue.
This isn't a Wally Pipp situation.
I don't even know what that is. Oh, yes. It's the guy that got replaced.
Lou Gehrig.
Yes. I just don't think it's a thing, though. It's not. It's CJ Gardner-Johnson. When he signed here, it was one of the biggest signings we had in a long time. Yeah. He is a dog. A certified dog. He is a certified killer on the field. He led the league in interceptions last year. in 12 games. He had an injury. Now he's back, and you're about to be in the playoffs, and you have your best defender back. What are we talking about? Just because he's confident, people are gonna go at him. What are we doing here?
I think everyone needs to look at this as a positive. Like, this is going to bring out the best in himself, in his teammates, and Iffy. He's going to play better. Like, this is only more motivating. It's not a detractor. I'll say it again. It's how I started. There's nothing he said to the media. There's nothing that you've seen published that he hasn't already said to every player on his team, every person he's competing with. His fire, his mouth to us, the media, is competitive in the locker. It's a force multiplier is what I'm trying to say. So this is a positive.
I think it would be more concerning.
I'm jacked up.
Do you want to be honest?
This team is pissed off right now, and I love it.
It would be more concerning if he came back and he was like, "Oh no, they can have the spot. They can rotate with me." You don't want that from your. You want that. You want what CJ said today. You want him to go out there and beat him from last year. You want him to go out there and lead the playoffs in interceptions and help lead you to a Super Bowl. Philly misses him right now, and guess who has him? We do.
Let's go.
What are we talking about here? That's what real fire is about. Maybe some of us in Detroit are used to having real competitors in the building, because that's a real competitor. Thank you, Dan and Brad, for bringing him in, and AG. That's a real competitor. Come on, man. What are we doing here? And on top of that, guess what? He's the vocal leader of this football team. He was from the jump. I'm talking about offense and defense. All around, he's the biggest vocal leader on this football team. Having him back, not just his talent, but his voice. What did I say a couple weeks ago? He got in the building. Guess what's happened? 7 turnovers in the last 3 games since CJ Gardner's been back. And I know he's not on the field, but guess what? He's in the building.